Big thanks to EA and the Creator Network for making this video possible. Hey everyone, today we have over 25 major changes from the new Legend Conduit, Stormpoint, meta adjustments, cross progression, ranked, the map rotation, and a lot more. I was fortunate enough to get early access and play Apex Legends Season 19 early. We got lots to talk about, so let's get to it. Normally I would start off with the new Legend, but since cross progression has been rumored, hinted at, and confirmed to be on the way for over 2 years, it is time to finally announce that cross progression will be launching in Season 19, and it will be more or less a seamless transition. After the new season launches and you log into the game, every player will be asked to confirm their master account. This will be all of your Apex Legends account you have linked to your EA account, and at its base, the highest level account will be called that master account. There should be a simple screen that shows you all of this, what skins are going to get transferred and merged into your account, and you will be required to accept this just one time, and then you will be good to play on every platform of your choice. The dev team assured us that this will be an easy one-time thing, and it should be pretty seamless. I am so excited for this. I've been looking to play more on PC for a while, and overall, I just want that flexibility to play either on Xbox or PS5, or play at my desk on the computer. We've known for a week or so that Conduit is a new Legend entering the games, but when it comes to her abilities, she is all about supporting the squad and enhancing the team's overall survivability. Via the lore, Conduit runs around the battlefield in an exosuit that gives her these enhanced capabilities, and her style or theme is supposed to mix together that sporty activewear style with the exosuit while also having bright colors that resonate with her upbeat personality. There was a lot of inspiration from Titanfall as well, with the Titan-like batteries that are on her person. The main focal point of her kit, in my opinion, is going to be the tactical Radiant Transfer. This gives any friendly you are looking at temporary shields as well as Conduit herself. Note that she does not need a teammate in range in order to use the ability on herself, and the effects of this temporary shield apply faster to friendlies than herself, making it more of a support ability rather than an ability that she would use just on her own. If Conduit or the friendly does take damage, the temporary shield recharge will be paused or canceled. The amount of survivability that you can give a friendly teammate, say upon a revive, or if they get knocked down to being one shot, is pretty big. The temporary shield amounts up to 75 shields, and you can replenish your shields while this is active, but it's not going to give you extra shields on top. You'll be able to simply just replace the temporary shield with actual shields, which is still going to be very valuable. Conduit's ultimate is the Energy Barricade, which allows her to deploy an array of 7 shield jammers. This is kind of like a giant Watson fence, but it does take about 4 to 5 seconds to deploy once it is out. It both slows and damages enemies who do come in contact with it, and it's more so the slow penalization that enemies do get that is a pretty big deal. The amount of area that this covers is also massive, and it can be deployed up to 80 meters away on level ground. This ability is most likely going to be used to discourage enemies from pushing in, but also to cut off escape routes, and it will be pretty nice as it does last on the ground for an entire minute, which is a long time when it does come to fights. The cooldown on this ability starts right as you do use it, and it is only 2.5 minutes, so by the time that barricade wears off, you're only 90 seconds away from another. Also understand that enemies can destroy the individual canisters or jammers to create openings in the wall, but it will take an entire magazine, possibly 2 magazines, depending on the weapon that you are using to destroy it. Lastly, Conduit's passive is Save Your Speed. This gives Conduit a speed boost when she is running towards any friendly that is outside of the range of her tactical. Note that you do need to look at your teammate for a moment and have it kind of lock on. This will then allow you to move at about a 40% boost in speed. This allows Conduit to keep up with movement legends like Octane or Pathfinder and continue to support them, or if Conduit is looting a little bit longer than her teammates, she can simply just catch up because she does have that passive movement increase. For me, it really is going to be her tactical. This ability is actually insane. The amount of supportive capabilities that you can give your teammates is just going to be so good, and it kind of actually puts Lifeline to shame, but if you do want to combine both Lifeline and Conduit on a team, I actually could see this being pretty powerful. There is actually a good amount of meta tweaks for the season when it does come to Legends and weapons, but first, the second biggest focal point of Season 19 is going to be the sizable rework and adjustments to Stormpoint. Per Respawn, about 40% of the map was touched or adjusted, which is actually pretty massive in terms of getting an existing map reworked. The biggest thing to know about the overall map changes is going to be that Respawn was trying to make the map a little bit smaller, and overall just look at the fun factor of the map. The map in terms of competitive or ranked Apex definitely plays well, but when it comes to pubs, mid-games were kind of lacking at times. Respawn is trying to achieve this by pushing inward Lightning Rod by retweaking the northeast corner of the map. You'll notice Thunderwatch is no longer a named POI, and the entire area is just Lightning Rod, and the buildings are much closer together. Secondly, the southeast corner of the entire map was also pushed in, again, Fish Farms no longer extends all the way out into the shallow water areas, and this POI was also replaced with a new one, Devastated Coast. In total, there are 6 new POIs, and honestly, a lot of other smaller areas have been reworked. In addition to Fish Farm being reworked into Devastated Coast, we now have Antenna turning into Pylon, Shipfall is now Coastal Camp, Gale Station is now Echo HQ, Prowler Island was removed in favor of Ceto Station, and High Point is now Zeus Station. There's a lot of smaller adjustments, and I don't have time to go over everything, but I will mention that southeast of Lightning Rod has been adjusted with an unmarked or unnamed set of buildings with more loot. The buildings outside of Pylon, previously Antenna, were also tweaked. The center map or Jurassic Park area was also greatly adjusted as the Prowlers are no longer here, and there is some buildings in this area. And we've got 2 new zip lines to access Stormcatcher, giving players a few more play options when it does come to this POI. The basic lore behind the map for you lore junkies out there is that, of course, Stormpoint was hit by a weather event, and 2 factions, the Syndicate and Echo, have invaded the map to either clean up the Stormpoint damage or provide technological infrastructure. Also note that the POI, the Pylon, might sound a little familiar as it is Watson's POI, and a little Easter egg that I will leave for you does revolve around some Nessies and even a specific room that might give you a little insight to her. In my opinion, we have some very exciting rank tweaks and new ways to even rank up, but when it does come to meta tweaks, we have some nice buffs and nerfs that affect quite a few legends and guns that I wasn't really expecting. For weapons, the big thing is that the L-Star is indeed coming out of the care package like I expected, and the new floor version will be better than its previous version, which will help this gun out a little bit. Replacing the L-Star is going to be a surprise. It's the Wingman, and this thing is an absolute beamer. Respawn themselves even stated or hinted at to it feeling almost like that OG Wingman with a hop-up that they refer to as the Scope Piercer Elite. Either way, this thing also has the boosted loader on it and has a damage buff. Care packages as a whole now will also have weapons in them, no matter the point in the game, which I think is awesome and just makes them a little bit more relevant. Let me know what you think of these care package changes in the comments down below. I'm pretty curious to hear what everyone else thinks. Is there going to be too many care package weapons on the map? I am pretty optimistic. The biggest surprise for me is probably that the turbocharger is getting reverted and no longer will have a 1 damage nerf when equipping it, which means the Havoc pretty much instantly becomes meta again, or at least much more usable. The Hemlock sees a small damage reduction, and the 30-30 repeater is also getting its hipfire accuracy nerfed beyond the first shot. This should make it less consistent in the very close range, as the gun shouldn't really be used in this way anyway. Entering the crafter, in my opinion, are 2 weapons that really no one uses right now, and it's the Volt and the R31, but the bigger crafter change is the digital threat is being removed from the crafting rotation, and this kind of lines up with what I thought would happen, reducing that spam of DT and Bangalore smokes. Beyond these tweaks, the entire long range meta was given a look at, hence the 30-30 nerfs, but now the charge rifle should be more usable, with the shot having less bullet drop, and I believe it also has a projectile speed buff, making it easier to hit shots at range. And as a whole, the longbow, sentinel, and charge also see a projectile size increase to have these guns be a little bit more usable. Respawn also stated that they didn't love how the bow check was being passed or forgotten about when it is in the care package, so it now has faster initial draw speed, and you can perma toggle shatter caps to be on or off if you so desire. Lastly, the gold weapons for this season will be the RE45, Car, L-Star Havoc, and the longbow. For Legends, we had a lot of tweaks to Legends' ultimate abilities, but beginning with Catalyst, this character was adjusted, much like I again thought would happen, to reduce her overall effectiveness at rattling or turtling up in buildings. Respawn stated that they know she has a ton of versatility, which makes her a much more popular controller legend than the other ones. The core, or the blob of her tactical that floats above the trap, is no longer gonna block damage. All damage is gonna pass through this ball or orb, letting Catalyst or enemy players that are fighting in and around the trap still get damaged. And she can also only place 2 traps down instead of 3, reducing the amount of area that she can cover. Catalyst also had the throw range of the traps significantly reduced, so you can't yeet these across the map anymore, and the traps are going to be more in line as a defensive or territorial control ability. As for her ultimate, the wall does not last as long now, and the cooldown timer isn't going to start till that wall goes away, which will reduce the amount of Catalyst walls that you will be able to use. I almost never swear in my videos, but Respawn is taking a look at the, and I quote, can't see shit meta, and this refers to Bangalore smokes. We didn't really really get specifics with percentages and numbers, but smokes should not be lasting as long, and there should be slight adjustments to the particle effects on them. They did state that most people are not going to even realize this, but it is something that they touched. Bangalore's double time passive is also coming down a little bit, not lasting as long, and the stuns from the rolling thunder are also being reduced, again not having the effect be as penalizing or long lasting if you do get hit by it. Small tweaks were made to Wraith and her passive, so it should be more reliable and you won't get knocked as that passive is going off. Thank goodness for this. Pathfinders can rejoice as they can now scan care packages even after another skirmisher legend already scanned the care package. Revenant's ultimate time extension or window was also reduced as well. Vantage's ultimate now has 6 shots instead of 5 to allow her to be a little bit more deadly at range and apply a little bit more pressure. And Newcastle in his ultimate wall can now leap a little bit higher, and the recovery time after landing is quicker, meaning Newcastle can start reviving that friendly or just being a little bit faster to actually fighting players if you are leaping right in front of a team. Cross progression really stole the show for me, but something that I think is going to be well received is a few additional rank tweaks that were not discussed in the previous Reddit blog, plus some actual new content and not just behind the scenes stuff. As a reminder, Apex is continuing to refine the matchmaking to make lobbies more fair and provide a competitive experience that prioritizes winning in intense endgames. The host of the event even joked with how their bronze lobbies were the sweatiest they have ever been. Ranked rewards are now switching to focus on banners from skydive trails, and these banners are permanent rewards unlike the previous trails. I actually think they do look sick when you do see them. You'll have to let me know what you think about this as well. We also already know that now anyone can play with any others at any skill level, as they are not matchmaking based off that visual rank but are hidden skill rating. So diamonds will be able to play with bronzes, silvers can play with masters, and so on. I've already voiced my problems on this in previous videos, and I'm not going to get into it in this video. But the biggest thing is that when it comes time for you to go from say silver 1 to gold 4 and rank up, you now get put into something called promotional games. During this period, you have a limited amount of time to do a certain number of things to actually get yourself ranked up. You'll have 5 games at first to do this. This means you need to either get a win in one of those 5 games, or you need to get 3 kills and assists in a single match. If you do either of these things, you will then be promoted. If you fail to do these in 5 games, you will then be bumped down a little bit, and the next time you get to the promotional level, you will then have 6 games to make the attempt, 1 more than before, and this is going to keep going on up to 10 games. Low key, I think this actually adds some intensity in your matches, and it will mean that you need to actually perform to rank up and not just be a rat sitting in the corner. I will have to really try this myself, but I am excited to have some increased stakes and just a new system in general. It's literally been forever since we had any meaningful ranked updates that build upon the actual content and not just your RP or LP gains. Note that Respawn did also state that LP gains will be increased slightly over previous seasons since you now have these promotional games. Hopefully this is going to alleviate the raw grind just to get points. There's a couple more things to go over that were sprinkled throughout my presentation and early access play sessions, as well as a Q&A session that we had, which I always find to be interesting as some people really do ask some tough questions. For one though, upon getting respawned in game, you're now going to come back to the ground with your previous guns, but with no attachments, and this doesn't include coming back with care package weapons. You'll also have the armor and the level of that armor that you just died with, and you'll have 2 stacks of ammo for each weapon that you did die with. This should help players get back into the fight and make them a little bit more capable really right upon landing from the revive ship. Second, this was a question in regards to the overall matchmaking in pubs and if it's going to be tweaked. Respawn didn't state specifics, but they did let us know that pub matchmaking is due to get some tuning this season, and they have already been testing it in specific regions already. Another controversial topic or subject was asked about aim assist and if it's ever going to be adjusted, and they stated absolutely, but they don't want to ship anything that is broken in either direction, and the lead for the panel stated that it will be happening in the coming years. And this to me could mean this year, maybe early next year of 2024, or maybe a little bit further down the road. We will have to wait and see. If you're wondering what the map rotation is going to be for the season, we're getting Stormpoint, of course, with all those changes. We're also getting Olympus and Broken Moon, which I find mostly to be acceptable, although I wish it was Kings Canyon or World's Edge instead of Broken Moon. I have a lot more to share in the next week or so. Be sure to subscribe and like this video if you do want to support me and the content I produce. I greatly appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Happy gaming, legends.